If you really want to improve your driving technique, you cannot just ask someone to tell you when to brake or when to turn. You have to learn how the car wants you to drive it. You have to learn car handling techniques, and that's where I excel at. The Motor Racing Checklist is the work of my life, currently with 2,000 drivers registered, and here's the thing. If you don't improve in 30 days, you get your money back. So give it a try. If you have any questions, just send me a message. I'm always available to answering these questions. This course is made for high-level drivers. If you're a beginner, you're gonna use it for a long time because all these concepts will help you right away. But the more you improve, the more you understand them, and then you're able to squeeze every concept to the limit, and you're gonna gain precision to be able to apply them in a very subtle way that most people don't even notice a difference in their driving. But those are the small things that make you improve a tenth per corner, and then if you just add up those tenths, you realize you're 1 second faster than everyone else. Give it a try. If you have any question, just send me a message.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome, race fans. It is Wednesday. That means hump day. And what better way to get over the hump of the middle of the week than racing up and down a mountainside? That's right, folks. It's time for Mount Panorama in the F1600 cars for the BiS special event, King of the Mountain. It's going to be an action-packed night with 3 races up and down this mountainside known as Bathurst. So don't move from that seat. Crank up the volume and get ready to watch open wheel action here on Podium E. Tonight is Mr. Daniel Salmon, or better known as Zippy, and we've also got Christian Hill behind the scenes working the controls as our producer. And Zippy, this is where I kind of bring you in, the BiS specialist, the guinea pig, if you will. This is a special event that was not part of the regular season. It's going to be a really fun one where the drivers really lay it all out on the line.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely crazy. Now, it did end up getting rescheduled originally, but that's okay. It could actually work out because now we've got an extra factor to think about. We've got the rain. Yeah, these guys are currently doing some practice laps, and it's fair to say it's a little moist, and I'm sure there's going to be some moments the drivers are going to be a little moist. You know, they are going to have tears of absolute carnage because these walls are suddenly going to start to look a lot closer.
You did mention that key word. I didn't say it. It is a bit wet out there. It's moist on the racetrack, whatever you want to refer to it. The drivers, well, yeah, they're definitely going to have their hands full today dealing with not only the mountainside, but also the weather that is going to be involved today. And always want to give a shout out to everybody involved in this series. That includes our partners, including Suelio Almedo, as well as Turn 1 Sim Racing out here. So make sure we get everybody up on this, and motorracingchecklist.com 2.0 there. Always try to get all of our partners on the screen. And like I said, also have Turn 1 Sim Racing, where the thrill of motorsports comes to life in the virtual world. Immerse yourself in state-of-the-art simulators designed to replicate the sensations of real-world racing. Whether you are a seasoned pro or new to the world of sim racing, the diverse racing options and expert coaching ensure an unforgettable experience. Visit www.turn1simracing.ca to go over there and book today. Also, want to give a shout out to all of our partners here. I believe we've got the graphics for Swaleo as well coming up. Make sure we get everybody out there. And if not, I know Zippy, we've got the cars out on the track, and we might as well inform everybody kind of the format that we're going to be seeing here tonight. We did have the qualifying, and right now we should be lining up for that grid.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic one. We've got the usual format for the F1600s, the free 15-minute races with that final race, the top 10 being inverted. So definitely you want to try and keep it clean in race 1, try and keep it clean in race 2. And you know what? If it does go wrong in race 2, that's okay, because if you come 10th, you're going to be getting switched. But it looks like they are green and they are on the go.
Yeah, this happened all very, very fast, and we've got our first of the 15-minute races already taking place. So through turn number 1 and down this long up and down straightaway here, heading towards turn number 2, known as Griffin Bend. And we're seeing the weather already come into play a little bit, Zippy, here. We do have some decent conditions in terms of visibility, but if you are way far in the back, you're going to be dealing with that spray.
Oh, it's definitely going to add an extra hurdle. And then not only that, like, you're used to the tires being a little bit cold when you first start out. Well, I don't know about you, Joey. I've not driven in the rain too much yet in iRacing, but I imagine it's going to take a bit longer to get some heat in them tires on a track that's already, you know, quite unforgiving, and a car that can be a little unstable at times. Like, I checked in with the drivers before, and I'm like, how is it, guys? And they're like, yeah, it's slippery.
I mean, you're just going to have to adapt to it, right? It's new here on iRacing, so everybody is going to have to deal with it. Everybody is in the same boat, literally, if you will. They're going to have to be swimming up and down, and this is the highest point on the racetrack right here. This is my favorite part, through Skyline, and then all of a sudden we start to dive down the mountain. Here is one of the biggest corners on the racetrack, the Dipper.
Oh, definitely. You do not want to carry too much speed through there. But this next corner coming up, I remember it because it's got the Falcon tire signing. This one right here, I consistently overshoot that corner, and it is so crucial you slow in and fast out on that, because you're going to need to get the really, really good exit speed to try and, you know, slingshot you down that straightaway, and potentially as well try and keep you on the car ahead of you in the spray, but in a draft as well.
So I know we kind of had to rush through everything. It is currently Alex Ellis that is leading the way. Keenan Harris is your second place car. King Stewart the first, that is Stuart Ross, but he is King Stewart the first out here. He's running in your third place position. Garrett Mealing in fourth. Roger Sieber rounding out the top 5, and then the rest of the top 10 include Nick Horvath in 6th, Joseph Yang 7th, Mike Broomhead 8th, John Benwilid 9th, and Asad Nakatembev rounding out the top 10. We do have 17 F1600 cars here, and I'm sure that we'll get to everybody's name on the screen once we get all of the official results and everything, but just getting up to speed here, Zippy. Lap number 1 in the first 15-minute race completed.
Well, it looks like we've only lost one of the cars so far. 17 may have started, but I'd be very surprised if 17 finished the first race. Certainly, you know, I'm actually really impressed so far with how clean these guys are keeping it. You know, not only that, we've got Harris. He's just a 13th hundredths of a second behind Ellis. Now, that's quite a challenge on a good day, but in the wet, I'm really impressed with the driving so far.
The top 3 are extremely bunched together, and then further back in the pack, look at this. You've just kind of got bunches of battles where you've got 3, 4, sometimes 5 cars kind of all in a group, all jockeying for position. This is a little bit further back as we head up through the cutting here on this racetrack into one of the steepest uphill turns that they're going to have to deal with. And in these little F1600 cars, now, Zippy, you've got a lot more time in the sim in these machines than I do. I can't tell you the last time I drove one, but what is it like to try to climb this thing up some of those steep sections? You got to kind of stick your arm out and kind of paddle along. It looks like we've got an accident. That includes King Stewart the first.
I think Broomhead was involved in that as well. I recognize the livery, and not because I know Mike's car that well, but because I keep seeing him getting dinged. But is that Broomhead, or is that... No, that's Nakatembev. Who's next to him?
Yeah, definitely the number 23 car out here. So it looks like King Stewart, as well as Asad Nikotimbev, just getting into a little bit of a entanglement here on Bathurst. And I'm not surprised. You were making the comment, oh, and this was another problem. This is as they're coming down the hill. So more action. And now Nikotimbev is going to be resting on the roll hoop.
I was literally about to say such fantastic things about how Nikotimbev was doing in the rain. He was up 6-7 spots, but you know, I didn't even get a chance to do the commentator's curse. I mean, even the mighty king has fallen. You know, this could be a part of the Lord of the Rings trilogy at this point. You know, the king has fallen.
Well, it's only the first race out here. I know that we're going to be updating you all as the night goes on, as these races unfold, but up front right now, it is still Alex Ellis, but he's having to deal with Keenan Harris in that number 13 car. Keenan is not letting him go, so if we're looking at the overall pace, Zippy, these two are setting it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I have a look at the lap times as well, these guys are in the 224s, you know. Only the pair of them, the next closest, you're looking at a 225, you know, a full second back, and that's Garrett Mealing. You know, as you look generally over the field, you know, there is quite a gap between the front two in the pack. But you know what? I'm not going to knock the guys. I doubt I could even do remotely close to the lap time these guys are doing. I've certainly, you know, I found the rain been very hard to adjust to, and not being able to get too much time with myself in the sim. I've had a little bit of system instability issues there, but I'm hoping it can be resolved because honestly, it looks absolutely fantastic. It is a fresh set of challenges for all the sim racers involved.
You're right that everybody has to learn it, right? Nobody knows what iRacing rain is going to produce, so it doesn't matter if you're fast or if you need practice out there. They're going to have to learn it one and the same. And I've been watching this lead battle here. I do think that Keenan Harris, at least on the upside of the mountain, a little bit faster than Alex Ellis in that white and blue number 14 out front. So maybe it's just kind of biding his time back there. We still are only about halfway through this one, so still plenty of time to make the move. Let the kind of race come to you. And you keep mentioning that rain, Zippy. If you're looking on the screen, it's raining harder and harder and harder.
Oh, absolutely. And you can certainly see there is a few puddles starting to appear. They could potentially develop into a lake at some point. But you can see there, Harris having a little bit of a sniff. But as soon as he loses the draft, it's like the car almost like slows down. There just isn't that much power in these little things. But not only that, I mean, maybe we're not giving Keenan Harris enough credit where due. While we appreciate that Alex Ellis is an absolutely phenomenal driver, Keenan Harris was the BiS 2023 F1600 Summer Champion.
Riding on board with him right now, going through Murray's Corner, the final turn here, and head up to turn number 1, also known as Hell Corner. It looks so simple on the track map. It's just a simple 90-degree turn, but you got to be able to carry so much speed all the way through it and then maximize the top end on this straightaway right here. Let's see what Keenan Harris opts to do. In my opinion, if you're trying to kind of play the big brain strategy right now, Zippy, you kind of let the cat out of the bag that it doesn't draft very well. If I'm Keenan Harris and want to win this race, I'm going to do exactly what he's doing and hang out in second place until the last lap on that last straightaway and then make my move in the chase.
Absolutely. And then not only that, Ellis is helping Keenan Harris pull away from Mealing as well, which is another dynamic to think about. Like the rain, obviously, all your stopping distances would have changed. Excuse me. They would, you know, it's got a little bit looser and stuff like that. So the further you're able to get away from the guy behind you, you've got less chance, obviously, of being rear-ended. At 3.4 second gap, I'd say he's in a pretty comfortable position. But not only that, he is keeping Ellis under a lot of pressure that we're not used to seeing Ellis have to deal with, you know, on a regular basis. So I'm actually, you know, as much as I like Ellis, I'm rooting for Harris here. You know, it's great to see somebody really, you know, giving this guy someone to fight with.
I know that these are small, 4-cylinder, underpowered machines, but when you put them on the downhill, they really start to get going. Through this section alone, over 100 miles an hour before you got to stand on the brakes, and Keenan Harris almost loses it going into Forrest Elbow that time around. It is such a tricky section, and Zippy, maybe you can kind of talk about it a little bit more, the dynamic of this car, but having to put all of the weight on the nose and also turn it, it's just a dream to lock up that rear end, and from there, it's really hard to save.
Oh, 100%, Joey. Often we've seen in these BiS F1600 events where you can just see, as you absolutely perfectly described, you just get a bit too much weight on the nose. I do wonder, though, where we've got that less bit of traction, are you still going to get the same amount of weight transfer? Like, don't get me wrong, like I'm an okay driver. Like in real life, I've got my lapping license and stuff like that, but I've not really done any performance driving in the rain. I've done snow, gravel, ice, dirt, but the rain is kind of a little bit unexplored for me. Joey, perhaps you can expand a little bit more about weight transfer in the rain. Can you shed a bit of light and maybe give me a little bit of an education on that?
Yeah, well, so I mean, these cars specifically in iRacing can be a little bit finicky, especially with the downshifts and the lockups. And that's really why I mentioned it down in that specific section of the racetrack. Here's Keenan Harris, once again with an excellent run, but he doesn't decide to do anything of the sort. So I really feel like the strategy out of our second place car is just kind of hang out as close to possible as he can to our leader, and then make the move on the last lap. But going back to talking about the weight transfer and just kind of driving in the rain, Zippy, smooth is fast. And you have to be comfortable with a car that moves around, right? You're not always going to be hooked up on the grip limits of the front end or the back end. So guess what? If you deal with understeer, you have to be comfortable. If the car starts to slide and yaw out on you, you have to be comfortable with the counter steer and applying whatever kind of throttle, steering, brake inputs you need to keep in control of the car. And when you're in the rain, it's just kind of that fine dance. The smoother you are, the faster, the more gorilla-like you are behind the wheel. That's not what you want.
Well, that was absolutely fantastic education, Joey. And actually, this week as well here in I'd say sunny Nova Scotia, but I'd be lying, we've had nothing but rain most of the week, almost borderline flooding in places. So, perhaps I can try not to get a ticket. Oh no, he's gone round.
Same exact corner as before, and I tell you what, he was in just as deep as last lap. However, he was on driver's left side of the racetrack, and he is so lucky that he did not collect Alex Ellis involved in that as well. So gonna have to see if we can get a replay. But check out the train right behind him. It looks like Roger Sieber has got a gearbox, a mirror full. That is Broomhead trying to make a look, but it's actually Nick Horvath who's tucked second in line. The two cars pushing together, they're going to go by everybody, and it's actually going to be Sieber now that's left as the caboose on the train.
Definitely some close action there. But let's have a quick look at this replay, see what happened to Keenan Harris.
As these cars are coming up to the final turn here, Murray's Corner, we'll make sure to get this podium replay pulled up, and there is Keenan Harris just losing it. That was really once already the slide had started. It was all taking too much speed into this fast Forest elbow corner, and you see right here, he's in too deep. Ellis cuts it off and can't do anything about it once you carry too much speed into the apex.
I will say, though, like, he does need to buy a lottery ticket. Now, you're not going to need a ruler to measure the distance between him and the wall at that point. It was sheer inches, millimeters even. If you had a camera right there, it would have shook. That's how close he was. And unfortunately, he's not been able to break that draft. As he came back out, as you see, car running a little bit wide there. He's ended up now. He's stuck in that chain. He was just a little bit too close, and where they had such great pace going down the Conrod Straight, it was just enough to reel him in. And now he's got a battle on his hands. He's going to try and have to hold off the field of cars behind him.
We were watching Mike Broomhead just slide a little bit wide there in turn number 2. Griffin's Bend there had to give up the spot to that number 382 of Nick Horvath out there. So Mike Broomhead is getting recollected. And actually, if I could request maybe an onboard shot from this 00, because he's got Horvath right in front of him. He's got Keenan also right in front of that. So this is a 3-car train, and this is as heavy as we've seen the rain all race long. Zippy, this is the worst visibility the drivers are dealing with.
It's definitely a little bit of a challenge. I'm not going to lie. I mean, not only that, Bathurst is it's quite an intimidating circuit as well. Don't get me wrong. We had the 12 hours, 12 hours, Joey, of Bathurst in February. 12 hours, I think it was. But you know, so a lot of these guys would have practiced the track, and you know, they would have certainly turned some laps, but certainly not in a class of car like this, and certainly not as forgiving. But the rain is definitely having a big impact. You can see there, Broomhead's pulling out, trying to get a move on his friend there, Horvath. But you know, it's so challenging, that visibility. Right now, I'd say you can still see, as long as you're not directly behind the car. As you can see there, Broomhead actually tucking out off the line just to try and get a little bit of a better view. But not only that, you don't have windshield wipers, so I do wonder if these guys are absolutely smashing that tear-off button.
That's an interesting point. Oh, Broomhead with a big slide through the final turn there, and my goodness, was able to save it. And if you notice the time, we are already on the final lap here of race number 1. So Barney had that white flag out. Just a recap, there really hasn't been very much action. We started with 17 cars on the track, and of that, I see only 2, or no, now 3 of them are in the pits. So we've still got 14 cars running. It's been Alex Ellis really out front all race long. He had to deal with Keenan Harris, but then the couple mistakes out of that number 13 meant that Garrett Mealing was promoted up to the 2nd place. And Zippy, this has really kind of been where the battle is, kind of the meat and potatoes, where Nick Horvath, Mike Broomhead, Roger Sieber, kind of all in that battle for the top 5 is where the meat and potatoes has been.
I am all about the meat and potatoes, Joey. Honestly, my appetite's been insane recently. 10 o'clock at night, and I'm ready for a nice piece of steak. But you can see here right now, that's Horvath right on the tail of Keenan Harris, I believe. Yeah, Keenan Harris. Yeah, Keenan Harris, my apologies. And you can see there that just as he's ducking out, it's not that he's trying to take that line necessarily. He just wants to be able to see. Like right now, he is getting his helmet absolutely pressure washed by the spray coming off the back of that car. And I gotta say as well, these guys are doing such a good job to control it. Like going through here in the dry is challenging enough, but in the wet, you know, I take my hat off to him. And you can see here, absolutely fantastic camera shot and getting so close to the wall. I mean, he could almost paint it with rubber off the tire at that point. Fantastically clean. As you can see there, they're going to head down onto the Conrod Straight.
And actually, Keenan Harris did a terrific job to catch up to Garrett Mealing. He's only about 1.2, 1.3 seconds back from 2nd place after that spin down there in Forest Elbow. But here is Alex Ellis. This is our race leader. He had to deal with that number 13 a little bit earlier in the race, but other than that, it's been a little bit soggy for him out on the racetrack. But event-free, maybe had to catch a couple slides now through one more turn here, turn number 23. And Alex Ellis is your first winner of the night, collecting a checkered flag.
It was a solid win. I got to give him that. He did have a good battle, but I do wonder as well, is like the finishing positions and stuff like that in the rain, is it going to be like almost, you know, you're setting yourself up for the next race and then the one after? You know, you almost wonder if for rain races, if you want to start having like more inverse grids just to try and make these guys work that bit harder. Like an interesting dynamic.
I apologize for interrupting, but do you see what Alex is doing right here? In the wet, you can burn him down in the F1600, and that's exactly what he's doing. He has to use a little bit of the grass too, but he's getting it done.
A little bit of showboating is always a good thing.
We'll get your official results on the screen here, because I know Heat 2 will come up pretty quickly here as soon as all of the cars kind of cross through the checkered flag start-finish line. And then we'll get all of your results officially up. I can tell you it was Alex Ellis, your race winner. Garrett Mealing in the number 197 car. He finished in 2nd. Keenan Harris rounds out your podium there in the number 13 in 3rd place. Nick Horvath, finished 4th. Michael Broomhead in 5th. Roger Sieber finished 6th. Micah Dern in 7th. John Benwalid here in 8th place. James Doherty in 9th. And Clovis Girard rounding out your top 10. And I know that we don't have the results on the screen yet. It's because this racetrack is so gosh dang big. we still have a few cars, including the number 23 of Asad Nakhanbayev. Remember, he had the problems earlier with, I believe, who was that with? Was that with Joseph Yang that we were watching down there, Zippy?
Yeah, Joseph Yang ended up getting murdered a little bit earlier, but right now Nakhanbayev, he was also
That was
part
King
of that.
Stewart.
Yeah, King Stewart, Nakhanbayev, Joseph Yang, all three of them. It was basically watching Skittles go down a drain pipe on that one.
Well, as we watch the number 23 cross the line here, he is the last car on the track. This number 312 has already taken the checkered flag, so we should have your official race results. I read out the top 10. Like I said, it was Alex Ellis first, Garrett Mealing second, Keenan Harris rounding out your podium. Then it was Horvath, Broomhead inside the top 5, and then Sieber, Dern, Ben Willett, Doherty, and Girard, your top 10, Zippy.
Absolutely fantastic. Murphy there in 11th, O'Hien in 12th, Nakhanbayev having that unfortunate incident in 13th, Boyd for Auto Collective in 14th, and then Lobban, Yang, and Stewart, 2 of those in the aforementioned massacre at the Mount Panama circuit.
Now, this grid, or that result, is going to be your official starting grid here for race number 2. We don't get to do that top 10 grid invert until race number 3. So all of the names that we are scrolling through right here, they have not changed from those finishing results. It's just lined up. And something that I'm noticing here, Zippy, did you do a rain dance? Because all of a sudden, it's dry out.
Yeah, I have many talents, Joey, but changing the weather is certainly not one of them. By all means, I don't think it's the weatherman's either. How often are those guys, right? But, you know, it does look like it's definitely dried up a little bit. You know, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be putting the umbrella away just yet, but this could be a very different dynamic for this race. Certainly faster lap times as well.
Now, I'm just waiting for the rest of the cars to hop onto the grid. I think I see Mike Broomhead is still waiting to be gridded up, as well as maybe 1 or 2 others. And all of a sudden, we will have the revs on the racetrack, and we will be getting back to the action. And we're actually going to be able to get to cover the start a little bit. Hey, Zippy, do you see what the 197 is doing? He's kind of using his steering wheel a little bit. I wonder if he's kind of predicting, do I want to get down to the inside line here off of the start immediately? Because turn number 1 is a 90-degree turn to the left.
I do wonder, certainly covering the inside could be beneficial. He could also be, you know, just be doing like a little bit of a shimmy. Maybe he just wants some screen time. I'm actually finding it quite entertaining myself, and sure, it's worked if that was the goal.
As we just wait for the official lights to come up, just a few more seconds out here. And let's take a look at this weather right now. It was raining before, but I'm noticing nice calm 77 degrees ambient right now. A little bit warmer on the racetrack, 90 degrees Fahrenheit on the racetrack, but that is still nice and cool when it comes to temperatures here in iRacing. And now we've got the revs up on the racetrack, waiting for the green flag for Barney to wave that thing, and we will be underway for race number 2. And we've got a green. Alex Ellis jumps out to the early start. It is Mealing giving chase in the second place. Keenan Harris, your top 3, already single file. It is Michael Broomhead taking it side by side with Sieber, but knock on wood over here, everybody makes it through turn 1.
It's definitely a nice clean start, and they're pretty quick to get into single file as well. See, the thing is, if you go and start going side by side, while you may get that position early on, you're going to start losing the guy ahead of you, where these cars do not have that much power. You've really got to choose your battles. As you can see here, there is one going on right now. I believe that's Clovis Girard. Yeah, I recognize that paint. That's Clovis Girard, and he is currently having a battle, I believe, with James Doherty in the 61 car.
Yeah, I think it was Matthew Murphy as well that slid by Clovis Girard right there in Griffin's Bend, and now we go up through the cutting. This is a little bit further up here. This is a little bit of a stack up. It looks like Broomhead is stacking people up in the 382. This is Nick Horvath, one of your top 5 finishers from last race, spun around on the first lap.
Definitely not what you wanted to have happen, but again, I'm going to put that down to cold tires. You know, it means he's just going to put the power on, maybe a little bit of a bump there, if I can remember rightly, and I think it would have been enough just to unload the rear suspension enough that it's just going to slip a bit of grip.
I tell you what, Mike Broomhead had a front row seat to that spin because he was following Horvath into the cutting there, was right on the gearbox, and then just slid right to the inside as soon as that car started to kind of lose traction and slide out to driver's right. But the 00 has his mirrors full. It is Roger Sieber giving chase, and then check that out. It's actually Ben Willid already popping out on the Conrad straight, making a move on Dern in the number 64.
He's definitely going to try and make a battle for it, but the thing is that, what the, 197, they're cutting the grass. Where's Garrett Mealing going?
I am not sure exactly. I'll have to go back because I wasn't watching that, and I'll have to go back on my screen and see exactly what happened there. But it is currently Alex Ellis leading the way, and I think that Mealing actually just went out to driver's left to set up for the chase, which is quite a popular driver's line in faster cars. We don't really see it in the lower horsepower cars because guess what? They're not doing 180 miles an hour down that Conrad straight.
Well, I was just watching the replay, Joey. I have a feeling, a suspicion that Keenan Harris may have just tried to bump draft him.
I mean, it's very possible as we see Keenan Harris now make the move out to the outside. And last race, Keenan was definitely faster than Mealing, at least in the rain. Now, dry is totally different. Remember, these drivers, they've been able to put laps of F1600 practice for the last year or so on Bathurst. And there's a two-car incident. Keenan Harris gets into the wall, and then Mealing into the back of him. Thankfully, everybody else is able to avoid, but it all started right there with that number 13 drifting out too wide on exit, Zippy.
Definitely was not the preferred line, and an interesting remodel of that F1600 now. It looks it looks a little bit like a pit bull. It's a pit bull or a boxer. You know, the dog that's run into the wall. It's kind of got that kind of expression at the minute.
So not Mr. Worldwide, but the actual dog. Copy.
Well
we're gonna get the replay here. So watch the black number 13 makes the pass on the outside, and he's got clean air, and it just carries too much speed up over the curb, gets into the wall, and then Mealing in the 197, he was so close right behind, he just didn't have anywhere to go once Harris was in the wall and slowed down. So I have a feeling we're going to have to watch out for that 197, see if there's any kind of lingering damage going on his car. But I think the big winner so far, with only 5 minutes completed in this race, Zippy. Check out Broomhead hanging out there in second.
Yeah, he's doing quite well right now. He's only up 2 positions from the start. Our current hard charger. This time I do get to say, well, it's tied. It's between Matthew Murphy and Assad Nakarnenbev. They're currently both 6 positions up. I can hear our director screaming as Roger Sieber takes a scenic route. I'm wondering if he's had a drink. That Guinness sponsorship perhaps being a little bit too prevalent at that moment in time.
Well, Broomhead did an excellent job not to be fazed by it because it was Sieber that drafted down by him on the Conrad straightaway and put an outbraking maneuver into him past the chase. And Broomhead hit his braking mark, and guess what? Sieber did not. He went flying off the track. So the 00, kind of this multicolored paint scheme, doing an excellent job just hanging out in the second place. A little bit like I referenced the arm wrestle competition. You know, he's at the booth right now and he's challenging everybody. Who's next? Who's next? I'll knock them all down.
Yeah, he's out and he's swinging. But, you know, from what I understand of Broomhead, you know, he's built for some things, but I don't think arm wrestling's one of them. You know, speed, though, he appears to be built pretty well for speed. You know, he is speed right now, and he is absolutely hammering it through the field. I say hammering it. He's up 3 positions, as I see Nakarnenbev now up 7 positions. We'll get more into him a bit later, but you can see Broomhead having an absolutely fantastic battle as they head up the mountain, Mealing right close behind him, then Sieber about another 2 seconds back.
And while this battle goes on, there's actually another battle for what is 6th place as Broomhead gets a little bit wide through Skyline here. 197 still all over the back end. This is for a podium position, so make sure we want to cover all of this action here and don't miss any of it as they start to head downhill past the Dipper and into Forest Elbow here. And this sixth place battle has kind of dissolved just a touch, so let's see if Mealing, who is only about a 1/10 of a second behind Broomhead, can use the power of this toe. Remember, we saw this last lap out of Sieber, but Sieber went flying by the 00 in the brake zone. Let's see if the 197 can get it done.
It's definitely on the straight. He's definitely got, he's got a bit of a run, but I do wonder if these guys are just going to keep, playing past the parcel when it comes to it, because the straight does offer. No, Broomhead's kept his nose in it. Not quite enough. Mealing able to get by. I thought he was going to hold him off. Looked like Broomhead put his nose, but I do wonder if now the next lap, if Broomhead is then going to basically slingshot straight past him as well. But this is all very good news for Roger Sieber in 4th place in the 83 car behind him, because as these guys are doing this, it's kind of slowing them down a little bit, and that gap has closed from a couple of seconds down to about 1.3, 1.4 seconds.
It is bringing in Sieber, and honestly, Matthew Murphy is not too far behind as well. And I'm looking at the lap times. Matthew Murphy a 2:23.4, Roger Sieber a 2:23.2. The car right in front, that's Mike Broomhead kind of doing the flip-flopping with Mealing right here, 2:24.0. So you're right, Zippy. Those cars behind are closing the gap, and if you go side by side like we are right now, well, guess what? It's going to kill your momentum going up the hill, and I'm looking Sieber now down under 1 second. It's a 3-car party.
Oh yeah, he's now going to be getting into the range of getting a little bit of draft from these guys as well. But behind him, Matthew Murphy is about 1.8 seconds as well. I'm not sure if he's going to have time to get into this battle, but we'll see. If Sieber manages to make it a three-way fight straight away, it could slow them all up, or there could potentially be a little bit of heroics that go sideways.
Watch Broomhead just kind of slide the car around the mountainside, giving chase to Garrett Mealing. I can let everybody know that nothing has changed up front. We're going to keep our camera right here as this 2-car train has now become a 3-car party as we're getting the onboard shots from Garrett Mealing. This is actually terrific. I love always seeing, are they using virtual reality? Are they using an ultra-wide, triple monitors? And the other cool part, look at how much Mealing is working behind that wheel. He is going left, right with all of those movements. And Zippy, did you catch that? Even maybe wiping a little bit of sweat off of the brow.
He did appear to have a slightly puckered experience in a few moments going down the hill, and understandably so. You can see the steering wheel, and you can see like the little bit of relief as he's just having a little bit of a quick shoot out the side view just to see Broomhead sail by. But, he's going to go and send it right up there. Is he going to be able to hold it? Broomhead not giving him any extra space and able to defend from Mealing.
Well, you're right. They're just trying to kind of leapfrog over under, try to pull away from Sieber, and you just have to make sure you're on the same strategy as kind of your buddy out there. Otherwise, you can hold each other up. And coming up to about 5 minutes remaining here on race number 2. Garrett Mealing still giving chase to Michael Broomhead. Roger Sieber now only about 6/10 behind this battle.
Yeah, he's definitely starting to come even closer into the mix, man. Who have we got there now? That is a blue car that appears. Matthew Murphy, he was starting to catch for 4th place. Obviously not anymore. Something has gone wrong for him. And that has pushed Assad Nakardenbev up 8 positions now. 8 positions. Let's have a quick look at the replay. Let's see what happened. He's going down to start-finish at this point, heading towards Hell Corner. That's a 90-degree left turner. Generally, that tends to be pretty friendly. And, oh dear.
Zippy, it really looked kind of on entry. I wonder if that was kind of maybe a downshift, maybe a too aggressive of a downshift, because it can definitely lock those rears if you don't get those RPMs right.
Oh, definitely, it will lock up, and it seemed like there was so much weight on the nose there that the back end was just like, it's almost as if he'd put some McDonald's trays under there and ripped the e-brake.
So now we've got Matthew Murphy giving chase to Clovis Girard here in this white number 27. Also got the great onboard shot from Clovis. He's rocking the triple monitors here as he goes through Skyline. And man, look at Matthew Murphy go around the outside of Girard. So have your hands full as you're coming down the mountain. And the other thing that's really cool, Zippy, check that out. He's actually using an H-pattern shifter as well.
Yeah, he does. I remember we talked about this in a previous broadcast, but I'm also noting as well, he's changed his camera angle. He used to have it more near the wheelbase. I reckon looking at that, he's got himself what looks like a nice Moser wheelbase, and he just wants to flaunt off the goodies at this point, and I can't blame him.
He also wants to flaunt off how comfortable it is inside of a virtual race car instead of a real race car. Check out those flannel pants. It doesn't really get much more comfy than that, does it?
Well played. Well played. If I got to be honest, I did prefer the bed sheets on Garrett Mealings. I thought that was a nicer plate. But you know, but I mean, it's sticks and stones, so especially in Nova Scotia. I mean, we got the own Nova Scotian plate, so I think I'm going to set a challenge now to BIS. The first person to wear, that was a little bit slippery. The first person to wear some Nova Scotia plate on stream, I will happily buy them a coffee.
Well, he crosses the start-finish line with about 2.5 minutes remaining in this one. I can tell you that the leader still has to come around and then collect the white flag. So we've still got almost 2 full laps here at Bathurst. And Alex Ellis has been putting on a clinic out front. Really almost kind of a little bit of a boring race out there. And it can be just as mentally demanding when nobody is around you because your mind starts to wander. You start to think, okay, well, I don't maybe need to hit this apex perfectly. They're, what, 5.5, almost 6 seconds back from me right now. And that's when mistakes are made, when you just kind of get a little bit off of the limit, and then all of a sudden your rhythm is completely gone.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't take much for me to get distracted. I know that. Generally, I prefer having a bit too honest. It's so true. I generally prefer having someone to follow. I find, to me, that is a lot of entertainment, a lot of enjoyment. But it looks like Roger Siebert has managed to catch up to this freeway battle. So now we've got Broomhead, Mealing, and Siebert all together. Nikana Bev, he's about 9 seconds behind him. It's fair to say he's not going to be making a move forward. Certainly not in this race. But, you know, this could be a freeway fight now. Certainly second, third, and fourth, all up on the table. And one of these guys is not going to get to stand on that top step, along with certainly King Stewart as well. He is currently not on the top step.
You know, we haven't talked about King Stewart at all in race number 2 here.
Yeah, where's he gone?
I don't see him on the entry list at all right now. So unfortunately, an early exit for the first King of the Mountain, King Stewart the first out here. And really, from the way it's been going, Zippy, I mean, I don't want to hand out a crown early because we've got that top 10 grid invert, but Alex Ellis almost has one hand on it already.
I'd say he's got one hand, a couple of toes, a few fingers, and certainly most of his torso.
What are you grabbing a crown with, Zippy?
Maybe he's very supple. I mean, obviously he's quick. He's got to be somewhat fit, but I was just looking into why King Stewart has been dethroned as it stands, and he has actually just rejoined the session. Appears to be having a couple of issues with packet loss, so whichever the person on the horse and cart providing his internet is, please resolve it, otherwise you shall be brutally hung, drawn, and quartered very publicly.
Well, we are officially on our final lap. We're going to keep the camera right here because Zippy already gave these guys the commentary curse. So let's knock on some wood right now. And Alex Ellis is way out front. It is up to these 3 drivers. That is Michael Broomhead, who just tapped the wall with the right rear coming up through the cutting. You never want to do that when you're coming up the hill. Then you've got Garrett Mealing in this orange and black and turquoise car. That's the 197 giving chase. The third car, the caboose in line that might spoil it all, Roger Siebert. But here we go through Skyline. This is the top of the mountain right here. Zippy, time to head downhill.
Definitely. That's certainly where my racing career seems to be going, but these guys doing an absolutely fantastic job. Now, Mealing, I'd say he's rocking a McLaren Formula One paint scheme, would be my best guess. That papaya car certainly doing what McLaren tends to do in Formula One. Not quite get the top spot, but certainly putting a good effort trying. Obviously, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, Australian driver, Australian track. Okay, so now this has changed my prospects. I think Mealing's going to have a run here. He's got to. He's got to do it for the Aussie team. Like,
here we go. Mealing is going out to driver's left. Broomhead has picked driver's right. Sieber gets the double toe down into the chase and dips a couple wheels off in the grass. Broomhead battles back on the outside, keeps him pinched down to the inside of the track. Broomhead, excellent defended. Alex Ellis is going to cross the line and collect the second checkered flag, but it is really Sieber now to the inside of Mealing. Mealing's going to spin it out, give third place to Roger Sieber.
What a battle. And as Broomhead ran down that corner, I just had the vision of a very small dog as it's going around, as if this small dog has basically gone and ran onto a piece of ice and is there frantically scampering, trying to regain grip as it just basically slides sideways. That is the way I would most accurately describe Broomhead's defense in the second or third to last corner there.
As we watch the rest of the cars come down the mountain, cross over the start-finish line here, and that is race number 2 that will be completed. And, you know, before we get to the results, Zippy, I just want to ask, you know, I know it's not true because what I'm talking about is a fictionary character, but Micah Dern back here in the number 64 car, I was just watching Major League last night, and Roger Dorn, you know, is the classic third baseman in Major League. I wonder if they're related in the virtual world.
Honestly, I love movies, but you that one flew straight over my head, Joey.
Oh,
like,
what?
I'm sorry.
And I know that this is a little bit more of a Canadian series, you know, but Major League is one of the best comedies of all time about the ramshackled Cleveland Indians and their run for the pennant race. As we watch, this is Micah Dern here in the number 64. He's going to be the last car to cross the start-finish line, finish race number 2. So it was your official results. Alex Ellis winning the race, Michael Broomhead in second, I'm sorry, they just disappeared on me, so we're just going to have to bring them all right back up for the consolation. It's Michael Broomhead finishing in second, Roger Sieber in third place, Garrett Mealing in fourth, Matthew Murphy finishing in fifth, Assad Nakadambev in sixth, James Doherty in seventh, Clovis Gerard finishing eighth, Cedric Ohayon in ninth, and John Benwalid in 10th.
Then you got Nick Horvath there in 11th with Keenan Harris in 12th, Mika Dern in 13th, Keith Lobban, the 2023 F1600 Championship winner, not currently kicking ass right now. He's there in 14th. Mark Boyd, he retired. He is in 15th. King Stewart I, currently having some issues, a little bit of a battle for the throne there. He's in 16th. And then Joseph Yang was unable to start as well.
Now, Zippia, I know that you know these drivers pretty well, and we actually have one of them joining us here in the commentary booth. I believe you've caught up with Alex Ellis.
Hey, guys.
Oh, goody, he is here. I sent you a message. I wasn't sure. Yeah, there you go. You're here. So, Alex, tell us a little bit about how it is driving in the rain in this car. Give us a little bit of a lowdown on that.
It's a lot of fun. Basically, the rain is interesting because you go from zero grip or lots of grip to zero grip very quickly. And there's very specific parts of the track that have grip and specific parts that don't. So the nice thing with this car is it's a little bit slower. So when you hit one of those spots with zero grip, you have a little bit more time to collect it and save it. So because of that, it makes it a really fun car for experimenting. Basically, as you're doing laps, you can send it with the car into certain spots and see if it works. And if it does, then you know that you have that grip for the next lap. And then basically, as you put laps together and experiment more and more, you just slowly find where the grip is and then use it, and the pace comes with that.
It absolutely looks fantastic as well. And as you guys are going over the mountain, I think I keep seeing it in the shot where you guys are basically like almost four-wheel drifting it, even in that second race as well. But I got to ask as well, like, so I've got a little bit of experience, not a lot, driving in the rain on iRacing, having a little bit of system instability issues on my end, but uh, I do find as well that you could almost feel the hydroplaning. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they have nailed the way that the vehicle behaves in the rain, especially when there's visual puddles. You'll see a shiny surface, which indicates some depth of water. And basically, if you hit a shiny surface, you actually feel the car get light. Like I don't have a motion rig or anything, so I'm sitting here static, but I get the sensation. I feel myself kind of lifting up the way that, like in a real car, you actually feel like the millimeter or two that you lift up, and then an immediate complete loss of grip, and that sensation is very, very well replicated on the simulator now.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic news to hear. And for those of you who don't know, Alex Ellis is a legitimate racing driver as well. Now, if I remember rightly, it is a ninth gen Civic that you have great success in. But while we got a little bit of time, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the real world stuff. Unfortunately, not getting to race as much as I would like to, but that's just the way the industry is. But I spend a lot of time coaching and engineering now, and luckily, one of the big parts of that is being able to jump in the car pretty often. So lately, I've mainly been working with Porsche GT3 Cup cars and then GT4, both the Mercedes AMG GT4, and then for this year, I'm with Paulo Caro Motorsport as the coach, engineer, test driver, setup guy, whatever you want to call it, with two 718 Cayman Club Sport MRs. So
Whoa.
pretty excited about that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're pretty excited about that. I'm over here drooling. Thankfully, it's your camera, not mine. I'm just going to be sitting here in a puddle of awe right now. I mean, that sounds absolutely fantastic. But we're going to let you go. Obviously, we should really give you a little bit of a break with the rest of the guys. Not that there's much of it left now, about 30 seconds. But it's been great having you in the booth, Alex, and good luck in that final race. I guess you're going to be starting P10 in this one and have to make some moves to get through to the top of the tree.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to try and work my way through the field. So we'll see how it goes.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex. We'll see you shortly.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
He has definitely been kind of the driver to beat here tonight. It's only been himself and kind of Keenan Harris that has challenged him up front. And since we kind of were a little bit rushed at the beginning of the show here, want to give another shout out to Motor Racing Checklist. All right, go on over to motorracingchecklist.com. You can definitely cut your lap time. And they say in 30 days or get your money back. And I know that there is a code as well, I believe. I believe right now it's 20% off right now for the Motor Racing Checklist. Go on over there, enroll today. I believe, Suelio Almeida is heavily involved in that one. And Zippy, Suelio, you've raced against him here in some of this BIS stuff. The dude is crazy fast. He knows exactly what he's talking about.
I'd like to say I've raced against him, but I'll rephrase it. I've been present on the track at the same time as him. I wouldn't really say I've raced the guy. I put in an appearance, and there you go. There's that code that you were looking for, Jerry. BiS F1600 is the 20% discount code off. 20%. It's in the top left of your screen right now. You can see it for the grid standings there. But no, Swelio, absolutely fantastic. And he's such a nice guy as well, very humble, very knowledgeable, and it's great to see him. He's actually bought a legitimate radical race car, and the guy's having success straight out the box. I mean, he did a test with Ryspec, I believe, as well. Richard Yin is the guy who runs that, and did really good. Got himself his own car. I believe some of the guys, what's his name? I should know. I'll find it shortly, but he works for Advanced Sim Racing as well. He does the setups. Fantastic guy, and he is having an absolutely great start to the season. I'm going to get that name, though. Please, Jerry, carry on, sir.
We've got our starting grid for the top 10 grid invert. John Benwillid will be your pole sitter. Cedric O'Hyan in the number 9 car lined up next to him. Clovis Gerard in 3rd. James Doherty in 4th. Assad Nakadambev in 5th place. Matthew Murphy in 6th. Garrett Mealing starts 7th. Roger Sieber in 8th. Michael Broomhead starts 9th, and Alex Ellis, your unlucky winner of the top 10 grid invert, has to start all the way back there in 10th place. The rest of the names that are going to scroll across the screen here, well, guess what? They have not changed from that finishing result. It is only the top 10 that get the grid invert, and this is going to be a totally different race for those 10 drivers, right? Alex Ellis has had clean air. All he's had to worry about doing is turning the fastest laps possible. Now he's going to have to drive through a bunch of competitors as the revs are up. We are just awaiting Barney, and there is the green flag out on the racetrack. So we've got the cars going on the standing start. I already see the 197 of Garrett Mealing making some moves down into turn number 1, side by side for what is 4th, 5th, and 6th.
It looks like at one point they were almost going 3 wide there. Now, these guys have definitely got to remember, you know, cold tires again. Keep that in mind. But I'm actually, I'm seeing John Bembler getting a start on the pole as these guys, they're not going 3 wide, 4 wide even. Are they going 4?
No, they can't fit four wide here, but they'll definitely go 3 wide. And oh, there's almost some contact as some noses get pinched. Does everybody keep it off of the wall? Yes, and here we go, Zippy. Still 3 wide. Now we're settling down to 2 through the cutting. This is where everybody starts to get checked up. Still 2 wide. This is what's great about F1600. They have the grip. They can do this style of racing.
As I'm watching these guys do it, I'm almost thinking it's like they've got in a mosh pit as that's why we should run. Asad Nikolov, Broomhead. He was in the Guinness car because we was making a joke about him being hammered earlier. They got killed in the battle as well.
I can report to you it was only the top 5 that made it through. So everybody from 6th on back was involved in this, including Alex Ellis. So he is going to have to get back going, get that car fixed up, get back out on the racetrack, and hopefully collect some points. John Benwillid is still your leader out front. Cedric O'Hayan giving chase, and Matthew Murphy is that 3rd car in line.
Well, the good news is for Ellis, he did get wrapped up in that, but he was able to drive away. But the only way I could describe that whole incident is there's literally, I can't remember who sings it, but murder on the dance floor. That's the vibe I got out of that.
And it was bound to happen. You know, I'm pretty surprised that we were able to stick 2 wide through the cutting as so close there into turns 21 and turn 22. That was, I believe, Mealing trying to make a move there. No, that was Mealing a little bit further back. So that was Matthew Murphy trying to make a move there on Cedric O'Hayan. And oh no, now he spins it out all by himself in the final turn.
It was an absolutely fantastic Celine Dion reference there, Mr. Atterbury. But I can see now we've got an interesting dynamic, and it's not one that we've talked much about today. Obviously, this being a one-off event, but Lima Racing is currently sat in 1st and 2nd position. So I do wonder, is Benvelid going to give O'Hayan a little bit of a tow, perhaps, and try and pull them even further away from Garrett Mealing in the 197 car, currently sat in 3rd place?
So, Zippy, you might be able to educate me a little bit more on the points system over here. I know that we've got a great battle for the lead, and we're going to watch that, but I think the story of tonight that's at the end of this is, can Alex Ellis hang on to become the 2nd king of the mountain?
I do wonder.
He's only got an 8-point lead over Garrett Mealing, 9 points over Broomhead, and I'm looking. Mealing is sitting right now in 3rd place on the racetrack.
I would definitely be nervous if I was Ellis at this point, but, you know, he's got a damaged car. He is 47 seconds back from the leader, so as we do a little bit of quick math, 44 seconds behind Mealing. As I look at that, I think he's probably pretty pooched at this point. This may have cost him pretty heavily.
Now, is it 1 point per position out there?
I'm just trying to work it out now. Mike deals with the points.
Okay. Well, we won't mess with that because we're asking 2 commentators to try to do math out here on the fly, and you know that's never going to work.
Well, hang on a second. So if he's got 65 points right now it depends if Mike updated it after race 1 or race 2, because 65 points for one win would make sense, would it not? But if you had 2 wins, well, yeah, he's got an odd number. So I don't know if the points are currently up to date. I do wonder. Maybe he got bonus points.
That brings up a good point there, you know, and we're just going to have to wait to see how it all settles out. And there goes our second place runner. Cedric Ohayon just outbraked himself after the chase there, and around comes the back end, and oh no, collects Matthew Murphy. You gotta be careful about those track rejoins, and unfortunately, just now an innocent victim completely knocked out.
It definitely wasn't intentional. It looked like he just caught a little bit of curb or something as he went, and it's fair to say that Matthew Murphy's car is it's currently starring in SpongeBob SquarePants, as it appears to be Mr. Krabs. That right front wheel definitely has a lot of toe in, a little bit too aggressive a setup for my liking, and a bit unbalanced from the left front as well.
He's going to come in, and I think that Alex Ellis is the one that's saying thank you very much, because I see him coming through the final turn, Murray's corner right now. So he is going to slide up into what is the 7th place position as he goes by Matthew Murphy on pit lane. So the recovery drive continues for this number 14. I mean, there's no car directly in front of him. 8 seconds up the road is King Stewart I. So just going to be a lonely uphill drive for Alex Ellis.
Well, you can see he is challenging for the throne, and he is going to have to go past the existing throne sitter, as it were, just to try and achieve that. But right now, I'd say Mealing's sitting pretty. You know, he's not somebody we've seen as much in BIS, but certainly a name that we are starting to see more often. And certainly, if made king, he is going to have to frequently come back and defend that title.
Well, the benefit of being the lead commentator over here is we get to queue up some of these replays and remember all of that action that happened on the uphill on lap number 1. Well, I think we've got a podium replay ready to go on. And the best part, Zippy, I'm the last to talk. Take it away.
Oh, as I just seen the bus and I got thrown under it. So that's Nikata Bev. He's catching Clovis Gerard there. And you can see that's Ellis who's going around there. That's Horvath going into the back of him. Broomhead as well. It was just a case of a little bit too close. And the sheer colossal. Now, how many cars did we get in that? Did we get all 10 pins? Because if so, strike.
I recall, Zippy, it was all but 6 cars that made it through that one. So I don't think we got all of the pins, but it was a pretty good bumper bowling shot, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, you know what? I'd say that's a solid 9 cars. I can't throw that.
And then Arca Brakes comes in there at the last second, thankfully is able to avoid. But it all starts with that white 27 and the blue 23 here. It's a little bit further up the racetrack. You see him get pinched to the inside and then bounce off the outside wall, and Broomhead had absolutely nowhere to go. You see everybody else caught up in it as well. Alex Ellis, you know, your previous 2 race winners, way in the back of that one. So just absolute carnage here on the opening lap at Mount Panorama. I can't say I'm shocked, Zippy. This has happened before.
I honestly expected that in the rain. I expected that to happen more. I didn't expect it in the dry conditions. I thought, okay, you know, it's kind of a little bit reversed from what I was expecting, but I was doing a little bit of homework on Garrett Mealing, and I say homework, I was reading the lovely cheat sheet that Mr. Broomhead is kind enough to sort us out with. So Garrett Mealing, he drives an Eagle Talon in hill climb and time attack in real life. That's starting to make a lot of sense now why he's currently sat in 2nd place.
He's currently hunting down John Benvalid out there in the 08 machine. So I wonder if John is going to be able to keep pace and not be phased by this 197, or if Garrett, like we've been watching him all night long, he's been one of the faster drivers, and this might be his opportunity. As long as he can keep it cool, calm, and collected, he's definitely faster than our leader, Benvalid, and the opportunity is already going to happen here on the Conrad Straight.
He's definitely got to try and make it a clean pass. You know, he's had a little bit of unfortunate luck at times, but he's keeping it pretty good for the most part. And Benvalid as well, he's a BIS regular, both in the F1600s and in the Radical Cup Canada. And it's been an absolute pleasure having him. But he's definitely no slouch. You know, he's not just going to give that position away. You can see they're trying to keep a little bit of a nose in, but perhaps, you know, maybe the stronger idea could be, oh, that was cheesy. I'll give him that. I actually thought he was going to tuck in behind Mealing and then try and slingshot past on the next lap. But again, it becomes down to it. You know, if you know this guy has got you beat going over the mountain, then you want to keep him behind you for as long as possible, because if he is able to break that draft going through the mountain, then come the next time around on the back straight, he's just going to be gone.
224.6 that last time around from Mealing, and so now it is up to John Benvalid there. That car, that green car in second place, he's got to come up with a new way around because he's had the clean air. He looks out to driver's left coming up to turn number 2, but that's the long way around Griffin's Bend. Can he be an axle ahead before he gets to the brake zone, or is Mealing going to shove it in down there? Yes, use the extra grip from the compression and the banking on the racetrack, and Mealing defends the lead from John Benvalid there in the 08. Now go up through the cutting. Another little bit of a lunge there from the 08, but I think that Garrett Mealing should turn off those rear view mirrors, not even look at that car behind, just go do laps now that you're out front.
Yeah, definitely. It's very easily to get tied up on driving what's basically behind you. But we saw Benvalid definitely trying to do a couple of over-under moves and not quite able to get just enough exit speed there. But he's already, as you can see here, as they go up through the mountain, he's getting a draft. That gap being pulled in from about 4 tenths down to 3 tenths, and at times even down into a couple of tenths of the second there. But certainly he's going to want to make sure he sticks as close to the back of that car as they head back for the Conrod straight and just try and slingshot it in. As you can see there, these guys sliding the car over the mountain there, like almost a little bit of a four-wheel drift in places.
Always have to have a little bit of a yaw angle in these F1600 cars. Otherwise, they just don't really like to kind of accelerate out of the corner. You're just kind of scrubbing the front tires the whole time. So it really is kind of that delicate balance of what is too much oversteer and what is too much understeer, and trying to balance the car from the beginning of the corner through the middle and then planting your right foot and being able to carry that turn throughout the end of the corner and still be able to accelerate out. I've noticed on timing and scoring, I think that King Stewart just had a problem on the racetrack because Alex Ellis went by him. Zippy, I don't know if you caught this, but this happened down into the dipper. I want to say he was actually chasing the number 12 of Graham Loban. Just lost it all by himself.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's happening there. I'm just having a quick look at my replay and seeing what's going on. But it looks like just as he's gone over the top of the mountain, I'm watching slowly, yeah, he's just got a little bit too much weight on the nose. It's round, it's gone. Clipped the right front into the wall, and then he's had a little bit of an awkward scenario because it's not really the best track to try and turn around on, you know, and then with traffic coming as well, you know, you can't really just send it straight in front. I mean, we have a higher standard here at BIS, you know, safe rejoins is paramount.
So that's why you're in the commentary booth.
Oh, you seen me drive.
Hopefully Broomhead and the boys get a good chuckle out of that one over here. And right now we're watching Alex Ellis. Remember, he won your first 2 races. He's just kind of hanging out in the 6th position right now. 7 seconds back from Graham in that number 12 car. And really, throughout the field right now, we don't have a whole lot of battles going on. So I think it would be a great opportunity, considering I don't think that Barney flew the white flag. Let's give a run through our field, get everybody's paints on the screen. We've shown Garrett Mealing up front. We've shown John Benvalid. Let's jump here to Keenan Harrison, the number 13, after John comes down the hill here. This is Keenan. Remember, he didn't have such a great race number 2, but race number 1 was going pretty good for him up there in that number 13 car, and then got collected in that outside wall. And then James Doherty here in the number 61. Zippy, this is actually a name we haven't mentioned much here today.
Yeah, we've not seen much of James Darcy today. He's currently having a pretty level race. Actually, started fourth, finished fourth, but generally as well, quite a clean racer. We do see him a little bit. I've seen him around before, but you know what? Sometimes if you're not getting a lot of screen time, then that's probably a good thing. It means you are keeping clear and out of trouble, you know, and certainly having a pretty clean, steady race.
After James and the number 61 comes the number 12 of Graham Lobbin out there. Bright green paint scheme coming down the Conrad straightaway and into the chase one more time. And you know, I said that we were going through cars, but actually John Benwillid just had a problem through the last turn. I don't think that there was any contact, just a little bit of a self-spin out there, but it drops him from second place down to third, unfortunately. So a little bit of an issue. And then behind Graham comes that car of Alex Ellis. We've been watching Alex for quite some time tonight here in the Ocean Gate Expeditions. Give a little bit of a chuckle there for the number 14. Then comes King Stewart I, who is just coming back on the racetrack here, Zippy, in this Britain West livery.
It appears that he's making full use of that crash test dummy helmet at times, certainly not having the best luck, but he's back and he's moving again, and currently he's up 8 positions from where he started. I'd say that's hard charger, but he's currently not. You got Graham Lobbin with 9, and then Keenan Harris up 10 positions right now.
And we've got Mike Broomhead on the track, and none of this would be possible without the 00 out there. I think that he's a little bit further back than what he wants to in race number 3 here, but had a better first half of the night as we watch him loop it around through Murray's corner down there. And he's actually going to have to deal with Mike Dern because Mr. Dern is coming up there in the number 64 car. I was making the major league references as Dern goes around to Broomhead for what is the 8th place position. Behind these two is Nick Horvath in that number 382. He had a good, successful, I believe it was race number 2, but then race number 3 kind of hasn't gone Horvath's way. Behind Horvath is Nakatembev on the racetrack, and we're actually going to have to jump back to our leader, Garrett Mealing, because he just went through the chase. He's only got one more turn to go. That is turn number 23, Murray's Corner. And Garrett Mealing in the number 197 will collect the final checkered flag. An uphill night, but he finally gets to stand on the podium, Garrett Mealing.
Well, one thing's for sure, in the McLaren livery, you know that Lando Norris is not his driver because that man is still yet to win a race. But Garrett Mealing on the other hand, he secures it. Keenan Harris coming there in second with John Benvillid able to hold on for third. We'll make our way through the order a bit later, but I do believe if my calculations are correct, and by calculations I mean winging it at this point, I'd say Garrett Mealing may be the new king of the mountain.
I think so, and I just realized I didn't even realize that Alex was still hanging out in here with us in the commentary booth as he was doing all of that racing, getting some donuts kind of on the racetrack out here. So as the rest of the race finishes up, I believe Dern is still right behind Broomhead here, and they are on their final lap as we do have the top 6 that have crossed the finish line. But Zippy, check this one out. We've still got more racing. Dern is trying to steal it away from Broomhead.
Yeah, he definitely, where Broom had that little bit of a whoops, you know, he's certainly paying the price for it now. Mika Dern able to just sneak by. I say that for the moment. There's still a couple of corners to go, and we've seen Broomhead defend here so aggressively before. And, oh dear, Dern's gone round.
Both of them have.
Oh dear. I'll tell you what, good day for Nick Horvath.
And Dern is going to end up completing the pass. And as you said, Nick Horvath gets 2 for 1 as they were both off of the racetrack. So Nick Horvath slots into 8th. Dern should cross the line here in 9th. And unfortunately, Broomhead was the one who got back on the track the last there. So he is going to finish in the 10th place. Got a few more cars just coming around, crossing the start-finish line, and then we'll get your official results up on the screen. I can report to you, though, it was that 197. Garrett Mealing, he finally took home the win. He was so close in race number 1 and 2 out there, and he was finally able to put it together. So the 197 stands on the top step here on race number 3. Keenan Harris will finish in second place. John Benwilid in third. James Doherty in fourth. Graham Loban rounds out your top 5 here. Alex Ellis, I believe, is going to be the new King of the Mountain here in sixth. King Stewart the first in seventh. Nick Horvath eighth. Micah Dern in ninth. And Michael Broomhead rounds out your top 10.
Nikana Bev there in 11th with Matthew Murphy right behind him in 12th. Cedric O'Hyan having that spin early on. He dropped back to 13th with Clovis Gerard definitely murdered on the dance floor in 14th with Roger Seaver in 15th. And Mark Boyd and Joseph Yang did not start in 16th and 17th.
Well, I think what we're going to do is get a couple of our interviews right in here because we're still waiting for the points to be collected, get all of the math done on paper out here. And trust me, Zippy and I are not doing the math, so you can probably count that it'll actually be right. And I think let's go ahead and bring down Alex Ellis as we still calculate all the points. First of all, Alex, I didn't even realize you were still in our commentary booth here, so I hope we weren't chatting your ear off too much as you were racing around Bathurst. But what did you think of that opening lap traffic jam?
It was frustrating. I was so like I basically saw it happening and also saw a gap to the right, and I thought I was going to make it because as soon as I pulled over, I could see a lane in front of me, but then unfortunately they just moved from left to right and there was no space. It was never gonna work.
Now, it is kind of Bathurst, you have to be a little bit prepared for that. And Zippy made the comment he was surprised it didn't happen in the rain earlier on. Does that make sense? I think it's a little bit easier to kind of group the cars together in the dry, and there's those funnel effects, and I think that's exactly what happened there.
Yeah, exactly. Like basically in the rain, everyone's a little bit scared, everyone's a little bit timid, so it's more difficult to follow closely and it's also more difficult to commit and be aggressive. In the dry, everyone's much more well versed and basically willing to drive an inch away from another car and send it. And then yeah, just so many cars in proximity and that sort of thing is what happens.
Now, this is going to be a little bit of a shuffled interview here, Alex. While we're doing all the math, I'm going to leave you over here in the transfer room because we still want to see who the champion is going to be.
Yeah,
So
I want to
hang
know.
out. Yeah, hang out with us for a few minutes. I think you should have it, but we'll wait for those official points to come in. But before I let you go, is there anybody you want to thank real fast?
Yeah, for sure. As always, Satellite Racing, great group we have with Dr. Dabber over there. And then I want to thank for sure Michael Broomhead and BIS for putting on a great championship. And obviously, this is the one-off race that I'm allowed to take part in, so it's always good to be here. And then thanks to you guys, as always, Podium Esports, for a wonderful broadcast. You guys always knock it out of the park.
That was Alex Ellis, and he is going to be hanging out waiting for those points tallies to come on in. And while we're waiting for the math to be done, I believe Zippy has caught up with Garrett Mealing.
So, Garrett, definitely a fun and colorful race for you. It was getting to see some of your expressions on the camera. It looked like it certainly had you a little bit tense at times going over the mountain. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, the mountain has you puckered right up the whole time, every time. I mean, especially in these cars, they slide a lot and there's walls, inches from the edge. So coming down the mountain is where I really like to try and gain on people. And yeah, the concentration level is real high.
How did you find it between the rain and the drier races in the second and the third? Tell us a little bit about that.
As it dries up, the tricky part is some of the track you can take the dry line and some of it you really can't. So you're kind of gambling if you try the dry line and then it doesn't work because a lot of times, especially on this track, it just sends you into the wall or loops you. So yeah, it was a bit of a gamble playing around with whether you could run the dry line yet or if you still had to run offline to maintain grip.
Well, it was definitely it looked like you had a good collection of results. I can see here, race one, you got second. Race two, not quite as good. I mean, you still got a decent result in fourth, and then that final one, winning again. Now, my question for you there, Garrett, is: are we going to be seeing you a bit more in BIS? You know, how do you feel about driving like a Radical? You know, another season of F1600, and potentially even IndyCar as well?
Yeah, I got to look at all the schedules and see what works out. Going into the summer here, I've got a little more on the go than I do in the winter, especially with like real racing and my kids karting. So we'll see how the schedule works out, and if I can do it, I definitely want to. So yeah, I think I'll be back.
Well, I'll certainly be rooting for you to come back and obviously provide us with this great racing talent. But is there anybody you want to thank before you go?
I mean, just all my real world sponsors: Boost and Performance, X Clutch USA, Force Performance, Carbonetics. Like there's a bunch of guys that help me out in the real world, and maybe allows me to do this too. So
Well, that is absolutely fantastic. I did see the points tally come in, and I've got some good news and some bad news. So the good news is you're on the podium. The bad news is you were 4 points short of taking the
oh
podium.
damn.
So close.
Yeah, so close.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Garrett. Thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next event, hopefully.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Well, that was Garrett Mealing, and I believe we've got one more interview with Zippy before we finally let him take a little bit of a break here and close it out with the champ. He is also standing by with John Benwolid, finisher on the podium here in race number 3.
Hey
Well,
guys,
John, hey, John, it is absolutely fantastic to see you. One of my favorites here in BIS. Not that I have favorites, but unofficially, you know, you're pretty up there in my standing. But definitely, you know, race one, you know, 10th to 8th, race two, 8th to 10th. It wasn't really the start you had, but that inverse grid. Now, I've got to ask, was that intentional to get the 10th place in race two to try and slingshot you on the pole for race three?
no, you know what? Cedric and I were laughing about it. I think if we go take a look at the stats, there's been a Lima driver on reverse grid at the pole every single race this year. I don't know what happened. I wasn't expecting to be there. Nick was in front of me. I had wheel damage and I was in 11th. Nick spun on like the last corner of the last lap to let me take P10. Now, I honestly didn't even want it.
Well, it's definitely a kind of almost like a good luck charm to have at the end, but certainly Lima Racing was having a 1 and 2 session for a little bit there, and then sadly things went a little bit south for your teammate Cedric O'Hyan. But I do mention it pretty often. John Bembley, for those that don't know, he competes regularly in the F1600s and in the Radicals as well. Great supporter of the leagues, which I am very thankful for. But John, is there anybody you really want to thank while you're here?
No, 100% want to thank the team, Team Lima. You know, Cedric, our captain. Sam, unfortunately, wasn't there, and Matt as well tonight, both on vacation. But just want to thank the entire league, Mike, for putting this on, and a phenomenal showing once again tonight by everybody. And it was a lot of fun this season. It's sad that it's come to an end, but hopefully Lima comes back even stronger next year, and we can take a couple podiums.
Well, I'll be certainly rooting for you when you do. But before then, we got the F1600s going, we've got the Radicals going, but we're going to have the Indy as well. Now, is this something that we're going to be seeing you attend? Because I'm certainly hoping so.
Listen, I hope so. Wednesdays are getting a little tough for me, but I'm definitely going to be there for the Indy 500 because I've always wanted to do that. It's a car I've never driven before on the service. I plan on messing around with it probably this week and next week, and if I can figure it out, maybe you guys will see me out there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully we'll be seeing John Bemblid again real soon. One of the key members here of Lima Racing. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
You too.
And we just have a couple more to wrap up the night because the points tallies are official. So we've got Alex Ellis back in here. It looks like a new king has been crowned. Alex, or I should say King Alex the First.
Yes, good to hear. Super happy about it. Yeah, no, I was nervous there because obviously I thought it was pretty much over as soon as that crash happened. So super stoked to come away as the newly crowned king, and I will enjoy my throne for the next 12 months.
You had a right to be nervous, by the way, Alex. You were going into race number 3, I think 9 points ahead, and you only won by 2 points before the bonus points were added. So you did have a 4-point margin, but it was pretty slim there.
Wow, yeah, no, I guess, yeah. Whenever there was, it was funny because I was in the room with you guys during the race, but I didn't want to just chime in and say anything and catch you off guard and make it all
You
awkward.
should have.
But yeah, I guess I should have. Well, because when you said something about me hunting someone down and trying to go get him, I was just gonna key in and say, I'm coming. But no, I like whenever you guys were getting excited, I was excited because it meant that there was carnage, which I knew I would benefit from. So luckily, enough cards fell in my favor, and here we are.
Well, Alex, you'll need to get the Jaws music on a soundboard so that way you can cue that up next time.
I'm coming.
But yeah, exactly. Before we let you go, I actually have Mike Broomhead in here with us. And Mike, did you have anything you wanted to pitch in here?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I may be English. I don't really know the royal family. No, I don't at all. I don't have the ability to actually knight you, so you're gonna have to go to the UK for that. And crown you myself. But yeah, congratulations, King Alexander. I will bow down to you. Well done. A very good fight back at the in the last race there after the mayhem. I was watching that gap, but yeah, it was a good load of fun. Obviously, the field was a little bit messed up in the last one, and it was a bit crazy, but yeah, you got through at the end of it. Well done.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, Mike.
Well, Alex, once again, congratulations on becoming champion.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
So, Mike Broomhead is still in here with us. And Mike, I want to ask you because this is not the end for BIS. You know, it may be the F1600s are taking a little bit of a break. The Radicals are taking a little bit of a break, but you guys are coming back with Indy cars here pretty soon. Tell us more about how you can go and get signed up for that.
Yeah, so I'm sure our wonderful friends at Podium Esports have showed you the QR code. Just go back in the video if you don't see it, or it's probably on screen. You guys are pretty up on that. But yeah, just scan that QR code. It will take you to our Discord, and you'll join all of us, wonderful people, and you'll be able to see all the details, the latest information. And there'll be sign-ups on the left. There'll be like little segments for each league. But yeah, we're taking signups, and you know there will be league signups up until a certain point. We're only 3 weeks away from the first round, but then the single race ones as well. So you're never in the summer. It's people get busy, so you're never barred out of competing. We do have a 5. I say that we do have a 5K limit on the league races, but we also have non-championship like this one, which will be open to all. So do scan that code if you want to join us. Just come and have some fun. The Indy cars are a great car to play with as well. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mike, for really putting all of this on. And you did a tremendous job out there, even albeit a couple spins there in race number 3. Good job.
Thanks. Yeah, I was pushing. I forgot to brake a few times, but it happens.
Well, that was Mike Broomhead closing us out here, the driver of the 00. And Zippy, it's time I bring you back in for the final thoughts here, bud. What did you think of Mount Panorama here tonight? Bathurst, it claimed a lot of hearts, didn't it?
Oh, there's definitely a few people who are going to be brokenhearted on this one. I mean, it's just like me going out to a club, same result. You go home alone, but it's definitely definitely the way it goes sometimes. And it's the same as anything. Sometimes you just got to take a swing. Hope for the best, and it doesn't always work out. It ends up where you're in a hot, steaming wreck of a mess. And you know what? That accident lap 1, race 3, that's got to be my favorite BIS wreck. Like, it was pure carnage, and I loved every minute of it. And I felt kind of bad because, don't get me wrong, I enjoy racing. Racing is fun. But then sometimes you kind of want that bit of crash just to really spice things up. And the good thing about the sim is nobody gets hurt, which makes me feel good. I don't like anybody getting hurt, but what an absolute belter. Like, just an absolute belt. And it's been great, having you in the booth with me as well. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I've turned my fan off, so I can't even have my hair blowing for you, though.
No, it was great to be here. And you're right. You wrapped it up perfectly. There was some awesome action throughout the night. Doesn't matter if it was Garrett Mealing trying to steal it away from Alex at the end, or really just the complete sheer dominance by Mr. Ellis. And I should say, King Alex the First after tonight, right? That's his official crown, and that's going to do it for us here tonight. Thanks to Podium Esports, as well as the BiS F1600 series for all of their support. The entire team behind the scenes today. That includes Zippy, Christian, also Ryan Bauer. Follow along on the Podium Esports channels to stay up to date with all of the racing and upcoming shows. And remember, we've got that BiS IndyCar series, so hit that little rewind button, go back, scan that code, sign up over there on the BiS Discord, and join the party. Have a great evening, and as always, I'll see you at the checkered flag.
If you really want to improve your driving technique, you cannot just ask someone to tell you when to brake or when to turn. You have to learn how the car wants you to drive it. You have to learn car handling techniques, and that's where I excel at. The Motor Racing Checklist is the work of my life, currently with 2,000 drivers registered, and here's the thing, if you don't improve in 30 days, you get your money back. So give it a try. If you have any questions, just send me a message. I'm always available to answering these questions. This course is made for high-level drivers. If you're a beginner, you're gonna use it for a long time because all these concepts will help you right away. But the more you improve, the more you understand them, and then you're able to squeeze every concept to the limit, and you're gonna gain precision to be able to apply them in a very subtle way that most people don't even notice a difference in their driving. But those are the small things that make you improve a tenth per corner, and then if you just add up those tenths, you realize you're 1 second faster than everyone else. Give it a try. If you have any question, just send me a message.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.